The Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA, is asking Ghanaians to vote no in the upcoming referendum. The 2019 national referendum is to enable citizens to vote on the proposed amendment of Article 55(3) of the 1992 Constitution that currently bars political parties from participating in district-level elections. The proposed amendment is to introduce multi-party participation in the local government system in Ghana. Now, according to the NCCE, this provision, as entrenched in the Constitution, can only be amended if 40% of persons eligible to vote show up and 75% of the voters vote yes in favor of the amendment. A successful amendment of Article 55(3) will make room for political parties to sponsor candidates for district assemblies of lower local government units. So what do you stand to lose or gain if you vote yes or no? Well, Mr. Mensa Thompson is Executive Director of ASEPA, and he joins me in studio this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. ASEPA is urging Ghanaians to vote no in the upcoming referendum. Why are you asking us to do that?
Okay, thank you very much. I think we've been interacting with a couple of people, and there seemed to be some lack of understanding of what this whole referendum is about. You know,
which is an understatement, but yes, because there really is a lack of understanding.
Yes, there's so much confusion, and I think it is important that we step up on the education. We've seen the NCCEs doing some jobs in the churches, but it's not enough. The NCC should step up their game, and we urge the NCC to also not take positions. They should just educate the people about exactly what this referendum is about, what their rights are, what their responsibilities are, so that they can make informed decisions during the referendum. But the issues are pretty simple. The primary confusion in there is that people feel that this referendum is to give power back to the people to elect their own MMDCEs. And so this referendum is going to ask people to elect their MMDCEs by universal adult suffrage, which is not true, and that's a fact. We are already electing our MMDCEs. If you read Article 243 of the 1992 Constitution, which looks at the selection of MMDCEs, it is done with the people. The president nominates it, and it's approved by the people at the assembly level, which is a representative of the people from the various electoral areas. And so already the people are participating through their representatives at the local level. Now, what civil societies we have been advocating for is election of MMDCs by universal adult suffrage, and that doesn't need a referendum. And so if Parliament wants to amend that provision of Article 55(3) and to allow and Article 243 to allow for the election of MMDCs by universal adult suffrage, they can amend it. Now, it is entrenched.
For the ordinary Ghanaian who may be listening and doesn't know what universal adult suffrage is, can you just explain that bit so that moving forward we're clear about what you're talking about?
Okay, so when we say universal adult suffrage, what we mean is that every eligible Ghanaian who is 18 years and above and resides in that electoral jurisdiction can participate in that election.
Okay.
And so it is not the representatives of the assemblies, as in the assembly members, who are going to vote to elect the MMDCs, but it is the general public
themselves, so the community.
Yes, which we support. Now, the amendment of Article 55 to allow the political parties to participate in that election is what we are against, and that is what this amendment seeks to achieve.
So this referendum is not so that we're voting so that we can actually vote for our MMDCEs.
No.
That is not what the referendum is about.
That is not what the referendum is about.
What the referendum is about, and this is my understanding from what you're saying, is to allow the political parties to sponsor
candidates
or bring forward their candidates.
Yes.
So what we're doing is we're voting to yes or no the politicization
of the district assembly
elections.
Okay. That is what this referendum is about.
Okay.
And so the MMDCs, the political parties are going to sponsor candidates, the assembly members, the political parties are going to sponsor candidates, the unit committee members, the political parties are going to sponsor candidates. And this we think that it will alter the entire local government architecture of this country.
Is that the danger with this if we get a yes?
You see, I always use this as an example. The accounts have an adage that says that if you don't know death, just look at sleep. Now, let's look at our parliament. The political party sponsors candidates to the various constituencies to be elected as members of parliament. When they go to parliament, it is because the political parties are the one who sponsors these MPs. Their first allegiance is to their political parties.
Of course.
And that is why we've seen how partisan our parliament is. When there is an issue, the political parties issue the directive to their members of parliament, and they take a position on the matter. And so the interest of the people is not served in parliament. It is a partisan interest first before the people's interest. And if we allow that sort of partisan politics to penetrate at the local level, which is where the drivers of development, where they actually reside, the district assemblies are the drivers of development at the local level.
Is this because the money from the common fund goes to them for distribution?
Yes, you see, and that is also another part of it. You see, the DCE is actually the president's representative at the assembly level, at the local level. And so the DCE or the assembly sort of is to implement the policies of the central government at the local level. Now, there is an NPP government in power, assuming there's an NPP government in power, there's a district where the district or municipal chief executive is from the opposition party, who does not believe in the ideology of the president, okay, who does not understand, who is not in support of the ideology of the president. What do you think is going to happen? Conflict. Also, we believe this is also going to affect the equal distribution of national resources through the District Assembly Common Fund.
Because if the opposition party have their MMDCE in a particular area, then perhaps that area will not receive what they should, because
and so at that level, the people themselves have elected their MMDCs. So the MMDC feel powerful, they feel they are accountable to the people there. The central government, who is supposed to give you the resources to pursue this development, may decide, because that is not my stronghold, so I won't push resources there to be able for you to develop it. And this sort of conflict is going to bring a lot of problems at the local level. It is going to stall a lot of problems. Even now, we have parties come into power and they say, this government started this project, so I won't continue. What is going to happen at the local level if we allow that? When we say, okay, this government is in power, okay, it is my government is in power, my government is not in power. And the another danger that is that this is also going to further divide us at the grassroots level, the front of the country. This is not good for national cohesion. This will divide us. And this is because even at the local level, there are the electoral areas. There are electoral areas where it is the stronghold of a particular party. So in one district, when we vote in this electoral area, maybe NDC wins here. When we vote in this electoral area, the NPP wins here. Assuming the DCE there is from one of these political parties, the NPP, he decided that, okay, every resource or development, he will take it to the place where there's a stronghold of his party and leave the stronghold of the people or the opposition party to wither in poverty. And this is the danger that we've been speaking against, that no, that is the only place, and that there's a reason why the framers of the Constitution made that an entrenched clause, that you cannot extend the wobbling hands of partisan politics to the local level. And so we must protect this country from that sort of interference and that sort of political totalitarianism that the politicians want to extend to the local level.
Do you think that there has been a deliberate attempt to not properly educate the Ghanaian public on exactly what this referendum is about?
Yes, exactly. It's in the interest of the people who are pushing this bill through.
Do you think it's in the interest of both political parties? Because, I mean, I guess those in opposition assume at some point that they will come back into power, and so it may work.
You see, that is why we said it's a partisan interest, not the public interest. It is a partisan interest. I mean, each of the political parties seem to suffer or benefit from this regime if it's implemented. But when we say when two elephants fight, It is the grass that suffers. So the people who are supposed to be the beneficiaries of the policies of these politicians, they are the ones going to suffer. And that is why we must kick against this sort of partisan politics at the local level. Then also, we also need to educate the people. Like I said, the NCC is not doing enough. And the way the education is going on the ground, the impression is created as if this election is to give power to the people.
Yeah.
And the president himself engaged in this sort of misinformation when the president went to Volta region. The president urged the people of Volta region to vote yes for the election of MMDC, yes during the referendum, which I thought that, and the explanation he gave was that it was giving power to the people, and it was wrong. It was wrong. And I am surprised why the president, who is a lawyer, who understands these amendments, the amendments of Article 243 and Article 55.4, what this amendment, the president must or is supposed to understand what this amendment seeks to achieve, and not supposed to engage in these misinformations. And so we urge on the NCC, go out there, educate the people openly, let them understand the issues. The people who are supposed to get the message on the ground, let them understand the issues. And we want to urge every Ghanaian, go out there, vote no in this referendum. We cannot allow the politicians to take over everything in this country. Let's leave the local level development, the administration of our assemblies in the hands of the people. And one danger is that, you see, at the local level, we have, teachers, nurses, traders being elected as assembly members. Now, when we allow the politicians to take over, because of how the politicians are going to operate, monetize the system, these local people will not get the opportunity to serve at the assembly level. I
mean, look at how much it costs for a parliamentarian to run, even at the primaries. I mean, so obviously it is going to become quite
so it is going to be something also for the elite. But this is where we engage the locals, we solicit the views of the locals and input them in our national development. We cannot allow the politicians to take over these ones as well.
Thank you very much for joining me this morning. Very grateful for your time.